Hello, my friends. It is I, Alphinius Goo. We're very excited about this stream for today. First of all, we have Marvelous Todd, who is a terrain maker, has a special group. We're going to talk all about this, and we're going to show some wonderful terrain builds. We've got magnificent social media to talk about, especially, I think, Cameraman, you grabbed a certain miniature that Harry has recently sculpted, I believe. Yes?
Oh, let's actually just launch into this because we have so much stuff going on.
All right, we're launching. All right, I didn't even get a chance to talk about the other things we're doing. Remember, we're doing this special giveaway thing for the secret giveaway and the portraits and all of this stuff, and you get extra entries every week that you're here when we open it up, and you get to add to your chances to win if you're in Goo Morning Zyathé. Everyone will have a chance, but if you attend Goo Morning Zyathé, you can get extra chances. And it looks like we're going to do this super awesome drawing for all of this cool stuff on February 4th. Yes, February 4th. I believe that is a Saturday coming up. So this is Dear Jens. Dear Jens has been a friend of mine for a long, long time, very gooey, and summarily and primarily responsible for much of the content of the city of Darkenhaven, along with a number of other wonderful folks, who all will be mentioned in said tome. But long ago, Jens created his character in the world of Zyathé called Brahim. And Brahim is a most interesting character who actually hails from Sundestia. And there's a wonderful tale and lore behind Brahim. But also Brahim has recently had a marvelous thing happen, which is a sculpt by Magnificent Harry. And I actually think it's one of the best ones he's done so far, though he's done many wonderful ones. And this is what Harry keeps doing. Harry keeps taking all these wonderful characters of our people and turning them into miniatures, and it is unbelievable and wonderful and magnificent, and this is Brahim. So we are excited to see the continuation of the world of Zyathé and the characters and all of this kind of stuff, even though there is some consternation right now about that. But we will, again, not speak about that too much in this venture, but at the end of this venture, we'll have a second venture. All right, Harry, well done.
I agree, this is actually one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's really, really good.
The sweep of the cloak, it's just so heroic.
I think sometimes it's very interesting, you know, for me, a lot of times I see miniature casters really trying to do all these body sculpts, you know, and all of this and positioning and all of that stuff and sitting down and standing up. And actually, I find the utility of this miniature much better for the tabletop because, you know, the monks standing on their heads, kicking their feet up, don't look very good in a tavern, you know, so...
It's called imagination.
Imagination, yes. This is what it's all about, yes? Imagination. Okay. All right, let us continue.
Okay, a topic, or this is kind of a post on the OGL. But,
yes.
But it's kind of a...
Dear Sally.
Yes, okay, so my mother, here, I'll cut to myself.
Yes, cut to yourself.
Let's see here, where's my screen at? Oh my gosh.
I'm still going to comment, and besides, I'm on the back screen anyway. Oh, they can't see that, so when you're here. But you go ahead, tell this tale, and then I'm gonna make strange comments along the way.
Here's the deal: I have the best mom in the world. In Colorado Springs, she drives around in a red convertible with a giant giraffe sticking out the top of it.
She does indeed. People think it's weird, but it's marvelous. They get more honks and waves and all kinds of stuff. Anyway, continue, camera.
But she does not understand anything about what is going on. She does not understand D&D. She does not understand role-playing games. We play at her house, but she doesn't get it. And so she comes to this video because I send the links to my family and like, hey, just like this, you know, kind of thing. And she sees this comment from Jimmy Dean, which is railing against Wizards of the Coast. And she doesn't understand that Gooey Cube is not Wizards of the Coast. And so she posts back to him. Sorry.
Just read it. Go ahead and read it.
I can't read it. It's too small. She goes, I've been in their offices and you couldn't be more wrong. There might have been some glitches and I'm sorry you have been disappointed. However, I know how hard they work to put out an excellent product. Sorry, I'm dying right now.
Anyway, she came to our defense with Jimmy Dean saying that we put out marvelous products, and in reality was defending Gooey Cube, not defending Wizards of the Coast. But it was quite an interesting thing. Of course, Jimmy was very understandable, and there was lots of laughter.
So kind. He said it added to our community value because he's like, the people at Wizards of the Coast, their mothers certainly aren't involved. So
I concur with that. That is probably true. Anyway, let us continue. This is magnificent. Thank you, Sally. Yes. Thank you for coming to our defense.
I agreed. And I'm sorry I could barely get through that because it's too funny to me. Okay.
Ah, yes. So Dockenhaven continues to take shape, my friends. We've had a little bit of glitches thrown into our production schedule, as you might imagine, because we're trying to figure out if we're actually putting any kind of a license in this thing at all, and how we're going to manage to that. And I apologize for this causing a little more delay as we ponder the strange days that are going on around us. And Kim's going to speak on that a little bit more here later on. But that does not take away from the magnificence of the city. It does not take away from the fact that it will be published, I promise you that. And it does not take away from all the wonderful contributions and additions made by the community to Dockenhaven. And I just, I'm looking at the screen right now, which is why I'm not looking at you. But when I ponder the effort and sweat that has already gone into this thing, and the sweat and effort that is still going on to make this thing incredible, I am just humbled and thankful to this wonderful community, to the artists, to the writers, to the creators, to the crazy people who thought, I'm just going to put a building in the middle of this city and see what happens, and we end up with all these marvelous places from the Contributors Guild. And I'm telling you, I really believe that someday many people will speak of Dockenhaven and the Gloomport below and say it was one of the best cities ever made for TTRPGs. And this is a place in Boogerton, which we had to change it from Boogerton, which ask a friend from England if you don't understand why. So we changed it to Boogerton, and Cameron Mendy, you didn't make a comment on that, so you don't know what I'm talking about right there, which is good because I would get a lot of crap if that was happening from our dear Cameron Mendy. Anyway, Boogerton is kind of the poor area of the city in the top side. Now there are other more poverty-stricken areas as well in the Gloomport below. But the reason why this area of the city has kind of trended towards poverty is because there is a treatment plant which treats some of the water that comes, most of the water that comes through the sewer systems, and they use magical means to kind of lessen the impacts of it. But that does not take away from the scents and the smells that kind of waft over the Boogerton area. There's also the firehouse. And the firehouse is where much of the refuse from the city is burned. Now, the way they constructed this, and the reason why they put it where it does, is because the prevailing winds come off of Dark Silver Bay and blow the smoke and gunky stuff kind of away from most of the rest of the city proper. But in Boogerton, it tends to kind of lay there around. So it has deleterious effects on the population and all kinds of stuff. And of course, gives us a marvelous little place for all kinds of nefarious activities to occur, yes. And opportunities for heroes to go in and protect those downtrodden individuals who are being oppressed or abused in Boogerton. Yes, magnificent. Yes.
Speaking of nefarious.
Yes, here's a nefarious one, Zixquamoose.
Okay.
Yes. Aha.
Genuinely, this video made me laugh so hard. Old Geezers League.
Yeah,
OGL.
the Old Geezers League. This is our new thing, yes. Anyway, you need to watch this if you haven't. Rob did this for us, and thank you, Rob. It was wonderful, enjoyable, and just again, part of this incredible community of crazy people. And we're so excited to see a lot of you at Genghis Con, and hopefully next year, more of you at Genghis Con, because it looks like we got a lot more coming this year than last year. I mean, Genghis Con is getting kind of gooey, which is very exciting, and we are pleased to support and help Donnie and Andrea, who are both marvelous and who have helped make Genghis Con so special with all their efforts. So we're looking forward to the end of February where we are going to be there. And I think we have an interesting prelude adventure.
We are getting very off track.
All right, continue on.
Okay.
Continue on. I'm sorry, my bad.
I want to come back to that.
No, this is right. This is good.
But I was going to transition from Rob doing Zixquamoose to David doing a fun video.
Yes,
so
David.
This is David's portrait.
Yes.
And he has, is it Chippy?
Gerardus and Chippy.
Yes. And he has appeared in a video because we are talking about cartography.
Cartography,
yes. So he also did an in-character video with Chippy that was super adorable. So.
And I just have to say, again, in the midst of all of this consternation, thank you for the folks who are still posting wonderful things that make us smile and beautiful artworks that make us ponder, right? And wonderful words, right?
Like this one?
Okay. Cameron Mendy.
I was told very explicitly by several people in the chat that I had to put this up.
I told you that Alphinius or Amphibious or whatever the frick his name is was not to appear on this. Geeky Hoodie did this.
Amphibious.
Yes, Amphibious. Yes, Amphibious Goo is the one in the family we do not talk about. What I'm really worried about is that the Goo family continues to expand with all manner of interesting characters that are really not of our creation.
This
However,
is definitely an alternate universe, you know.
there is no Amphibious.
Yeah. This is like a Bug's Life, but, you know, in a Bug's Life, Amphibious.
I said Al Weirdio. We don't talk about him, but Amphibious is pretty funny, you know. So, and then Geeky wrote this incredible song, right? And others have added to it. Anyway, it is thank you, Geeky, for your tribute.
Okay, here are some other fun things just up from the den.
Oh yeah, Thomas.
This is a lamppost that I guess is up in Poland, and that thing is freaking creepy, and I love it. So
yes, it is very Cthulhu-esque, right? You don't want to walk back by that thing on certain nights when the moon is full. Definitely do not. Yes. Magnificent. Yes, this was great too. Jim put this up. So as you enter the room, you spot a wooden scepter set upon an altar. It matches the description of the finger of Azuth, the sacred relic that magnifies the power of any magic conjured near it 100-fold. We need to destroy it and make sure it is never used for evil again. Agreed. I cast fireball on the altar. And thus perished the group.
I know. I want to know how much
the dungeon
damage.
And everything around for a 10-mile radius.
I want to know. I want someone to roll the damage of this
here's
fireball.
the thing: if it's 100-fold, and let's give the wizard just a 10 6-sided dice as damage, right? So that's 60 at the top end, right? That's 30 on the average, and 100-fold would be 3,000 on the average, right? So it's a pretty
significant.
Brutal.
Yes.
Yes, significant. Yes, roll for half damage. Oh yeah, Shauna, these are magnificent. She shared these with us. Just what a wonderful. There's so many wonderful craftspeople out there, and so again, so much that has been spawned in the world of creation because of the OGL, and not just because of it, but a lot influenced by it. So it is a special thing. I'm going to miss it. I think many will miss it. But
dang, you got deep and dark there.
Deep and dark. I'm not deep and dark. I'm just going to miss it.
They're still going to make dice.
Oh yes, no.
There's still going to be a magnificent
No. That's I actually think this. Kim's going to talk about all this.
Oh, okay.
All right. Let us continue.
The future.
Because we got to get to Todd.
I know. This is the last one.
Oh yeah.
I should have actually put one on your desk so you could actually hold it up and show it.
Yeah. So Weirded Magics is produced. Our first sets, and for those of you who've been waiting for packages because you ordered them, or those who've been waiting for your physical copy, we are soon to ship. And we would love you if you want to get Weirded Magics to please go to the website and give us a purchase. We could use a little help right now. I think a lot of third-party creators could use help right now because I think there's a lot of people who have sort of said, I'm not buying any 5e stuff right now. And we will have to alter this if we change course somewhat, but we won't have to alter it that much. And we are looking at things, but this is that even makes it potentially even more collectible. So we would love you to give us a little support if you can. And by the way, if you haven't done so, please give us a little follow on the Twitch stream as well. That would be awesome. So
on that note, I actually have 2 Genghis Con announcements or thoughts.
Wait, I gotta say one more thing. Keep those thoughts. This is very important.
Okay.
Last week, we forgot to give away Shadows in Genghis Con. We are not forgetting this week. I expect everyone in the chat to remind us that we are not going to forget to give away Shadows in Genghis Con.
I said that we were giving away 2 prizes this week.
I got a second one. That's
okay.
mine. I'll tell that about in a moment.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, my 2 announcements. First off, if you are part of the Kickstarter and want to pick up your Kickstarter stuff that we have available at Genghis Con, I need you to email adventures@gooeycube.com, and we will have your order prepared so that way you can pick it up at the convention.
Indeed.
And then, so like Magica, are we doing an interim shipment with Magica, or are we waiting until later for?
I think we're going to look at, but I think it's quite possible because a lot of people. We just have to look at the orders, right? But we're going to try again. We want to get people their stuff, right? So. We want to get those in people's hands, and this one does have the OGL in the back, and right now that's still in force, and we are going to continue as long as that is in force. So we will see what happens as we go forward.
Yes. So yes, so please email if you want to pick up your stuff at Genghis Con, adventures@gooeycube.com, and we will have all your orders prepared at the booth with your name on it, so you can just come pick it up.
Indeed.
All right, second, our schedule for Genghis Con, we have a Thursday Great Gooey Dungeon game show that is going to start at 6.
Goes to 8.
8, yes.
Mountain
6
time.
Yes. And then after
And that will be streamed, my friends, and the audience can participate and win prizes too.
Yeah, we're going to start advertising for that pretty heavily here in the next few weeks.
Yes.
So very excited about that. And then afterwards, we are having a after party at 9 p.m. In the same little area. It's in a room that's right next to the stage. We will be having an after party with some light libations and good times. So,
yes, and if you are coming early, I think we're trying to meet somewhere at a pizza joint or something. We're going to figure that out on Wednesday night. So I know there's a number of folks coming out early, and Camera Mandy and I and Adam and a bunch of other folks from the Goo crew might want to come meet some folks and have some pizza and drink a little beer if you're a beer person, or have a little wine if you're a wine person, or if you're neither of those persons, have a lemonade or an iced tea. Yes, something like that. I enjoy iced tea, as you know, Camera Mandy. Unsweetened, no lemon. Mm-hmm.
I did not know that.
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, with that said, do you want to bring Todd on?
Yes, let us do it.
Okay.
We are welcoming Todd. Hello, Todd. Say hello.
Hello. How is everyone? Cube.
Doing great, my friend. Doing great. So Todd is one of the marvelous folks in the Gooey Den who posts up these wonderful terrain builds. And Todd and I got acquainted a while back because I found his Facebook group. And I posted a couple of things in there, but mostly I just commented on the wonderful terrain builds. And we started chatting, and the next thing you know, he was very gracious to us and started putting up some builds in the den, which has been marvelous. So, Todd, I know you also recently had to change the name, or decided to change the name of your marvelous Facebook group. So tell us a little bit about that, and then tell us a little bit about the group, if you would. And I'll interrupt because I'm annoying like that.
Okay, that sounds good to me. The group is a little over 3 years old. Actually, it's closing in on 4 years in April, and we're almost at 30,000 members. And it used to be called D&D Creative Table Designs, but in light of the OGL kind of stuff, I'm sure I was under fair use license and all that stuff. But and I haven't even monetized it. But should I in the future, I just decided not to be looking over my shoulder. And so I just renamed it Creative Adventure Tables. There's a push within the group to rename it Creative TTRPG Adventures. And that way it's easier for people to find, because if people are searching on Facebook for TTRPG, my current name wouldn't show up. So we'll see what happens. I may or may not rename it again. But what you see on screen right now is the kind of stuff. Those are one of my builds. That is the layer of the Storm Giants. I took Dwarven Forge lighted panels from their Hellscape Kickstarter, and then I put them on top of their ice terrain, which they had. When I talked to them, they're like, "We never thought of doing that." Yes. So I put that on top because it's translucent and it comes up through. And because I thought, well, what would a Storm Giant's layer in the clouds be made of? Well, they've got air, they've got water, they've got clouds. I mean, that's what they've got. And I go, well, they would freeze that water into an ice-like castle. So, and then of course the lightning would light it up. So I just decided to create that and put it up on some stands and stuff to give it some elevation on top of a sky mat. And I used doll stuffing from $8 from Amazon in order to create the clouds around it. And that's a WizKids, the Falling Star ship, and basically just created in that case an adventure up in the clouds. And that's what I do every week for my campaigns. Is I'll run the adventure, and at the end of it, I'll ask my players, where do you want to go next? And whatever they say they want to do, they want to go follow the map and to where X is. They want to go to the coast and hire up a privateer and hunt pirates or something. Whatever they want to do, I've got a week or so in order to be able to come up with the next adventure. And these are all just some of the examples of some of the adventures that I've built for my players to play.
So, Todd, I just got to ask a question now. You don't get through all these dungeons in just one session, right? You have to.
Absolutely. Every one of those is a 5 to 6 hour session.
Wow.
And the way that we do that is all the downtime stuff, we take care of that through text throughout the week. So if they want to buy stuff, if they're going to haggle with the merchant, all that happens during the week over the group text. So by the time Adventure Day comes, we're focused on exactly the adventure and doing the heroic stuff that you can't wait to do.
Todd, you put this together in a week. This build on the screen right now. You put that together
I
in a
put
week.
that build together. I put that build together in 7.5 hours when I couldn't sleep on a Friday night.
Todd needs to come
I
out
didn't
for
wanna
the Great
watch.
Gooey Dungeon Game
Yeah,
Show.
Todd, you should come hang out with us for the Great Gooey Dungeon Game Show. We will build stuff together. And I see you have a lot of the old Dwarven Forge material, which I love dearly, right? It's
Sure.
you know, wonderful stuff, you know, just wonderful.
Sure.
How do you
Most
put
of
these
my builds
together
are-
so fast? Sorry, I'm like stunned.
Sure. Most of them, so 7.5 hours is a long build. Most of my builds are 3 to 4 hours to build. And the secret is organization. Everything is binned and labeled and bagged. Like in my Dwarven Forge bins for classic, all of the floors are in a sub bag. So I can pull out the bag and I know exactly how many fly I have left to work with. So I don't get 3/4 of the way through with something and realize I don't have enough material to do what I need to do. So that saves the time. So between repetition and organization, cut the stuff down. And then also, I'm not trying to follow anybody else's plan. I have a general idea of what the adventure is going to be, but I'm literally making up the details as I'm laying out the tiles. It's a symbiotic process for me, so that the creativity feeds the creativity, as it were. And just laying something out in a unique position, go, oh wow, that looks cool. I could do this here, and then that creates more storyline for me. And the two swords of feed off of each other. So for me, the time goes quickly because instead of typing away on my computer, I'm physically building this world out that I see, and it's much more imaginative for me, and it gets me excited. And then I can stop when I look at it and go, man, I can't wait to play this. Okay, then stop. Don't build anymore. Just get flesh out the details and get ready to rock and roll.
And Todd, also, you tend to use a lot of elevation in your stuff, which I've noticed, right? Because I like to do that as well. I like to bring things a little up and down, and not just when they're outside climbing mountains, but even inside the dungeon or the caves or whatever it is. So tell us a little bit about that. Especially, stay on this one for a moment, Camera Mendy. So tell us a little bit about, because I also think you're doing a service for the community, right? You have some free things you're giving away to folks if they want them. So tell us about that too.
I do. So in this particular build, this isn't it, but in this particular build, if you see those big walled things right there, those are actually the Game of Thrones, the wall display. Those actually come from Amazon, and they look like the ice walls. And I saw them and I repainted them because they have those little perfect ledges for 28mm guys on it for climbing and stuff. And so I use them for mountainside walls and things like that.
Wow.
But I noticed a long time ago that there isn't really much building elevation in the world right now. Forge has some things, but they're little 2x2 blocks.
Yes.
So many of them, it takes so long. It's very time consuming, expensive. So I commissioned the guys over at EC3D Designs, and go check them out if you haven't before. They all kinds of great terrain and have lots of great Kickstarters. But I commissioned them literally to produce what I call Todd tiles. These are 2 inches high. They're all 2 inches high, and this one is 4x8. And then I have 4x4.
Guess who's getting some of those, Todd, here very soon? Yes, guess who's getting a few, maybe a few, all of them. Yes, a few, all of them, and then printing lots of them.
Absolutely. You go to thangs.com, THANGS.com.
Thangs,
and you
like
download
Thang,
them
bro.
for free.
Thang, bro. Right? Something like that? Yes, Thang. THANGS.com. Is that correct? THANGS.com. Nice.
And just search for Todd Tiles, Tiles, and you'll see a whole bunch. This is my 4x4 by 2. They're all 2 inches high, which works perfectly with the Dwarven Forge and Monster Fight Club and WizKids Warlock. It works perfect for all of that. I've got some stair step designs, so for going up levels, and they're large enough that your 28mm characters can actually fit on each level of the stairs. Right? I've got rounded ones so that you can actually have rounded corners. You put them together so all of it is perfectly straight.
And Todd, I just want to make sure everybody understands. These are all, these downloads are free. You don't charge anything for this.
Totally
this is
free.
just take them and have fun with them. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
That's wonderful.
It's just a pure community service. This is an inside edge. So if you've got two together, it's not everything isn't perfectly squared. So you can have like a rounded edge and stuff. So, and there's all kinds of different ones. You download them all for free, printing as many as you want. And I've been using them in a lot of my builds. They're super fast and easy to use. And the other thing, they all have this rough texture to them.
Oh, Todd froze.
Oh, we froze. They all have this rough texture
Sure,
to
to
them, so
them.
they look like walls and things on the sides of caves and all of that kind of
Well,
stuff. Hopefully Todd unfreezes here in a moment.
Once Todd comes back. In the meantime, I have started the portrait download for the portrait entries.
Okay, so this is you. There are 3 portraits being given away.
Todd's back. Todd's back.
Oh, there's Todd. There, you
Sure.
froze on us there, Todd, for quite a
I
long
saw that.
while. So,
Yeah.
I saw that. So, but you can paint them any color. Mine are brown, simply so you can use that. But you could paint them a dungeon gray color. You paint them an Arctic color, whatever color you want. Obviously, when you use them, and you just use them to add elevation to your adventure experiences, which the players always love.
we're freezing again. Poor.
Yeah.
But the thing is, this is, there you go. You're back. You're back, just like that.
Okay.
I just want to say, Todd, because our time is a little short today. I wish we could go a little longer, but Kim's got to talk here as well. And so
Sure.
I think we got to have you back another time. But that is a wonderful thing that you do for the community. And you know, I am a terrain freak. You know, people have said to me when they come to my house, bless you, cameraman. People have said to me when they come to my house, they're astounded at how much material I have. And I always say to them, believe me, there are people out there who have more.
I have a question for Todd.
Yes, ask.
And
any from the chat too.
Oh yes, I have a couple from the chat as well. So before we started the stream, I was talking to him. He said he actually just recently got into, more recently got into Dungeon Builds. He played a long time with Theater of the Mind.
Yes.
How did he start building his collection? I'm sorry, I should just talk to you directly. Todd, how did you start building your collection? And because Kim mentioned that you have some older stuff.
Kim? Who's Kim?
Alphinius mentioned that you had some older stuff. How did you kind of start accumulating your collection?
So way long time ago, when I was about 7 or 8 years old, when I used to play with army men, I used to fill up the whole side yard, build army type things, and I would take sticks from trees and stuff, and I would build 2nd-story buildings to put the mortar men on and all kinds of stuff. Fast forward a whole bunch of years, and I was playing Dungeons and Dragons again with some friends. Just got some Reaper minis that were all it was unpainted stalagmites, pure white. And it was on a dry erase board. But when I put them on that board, part of my brain just kind of went, oh my God, this is so cool looking. And I noticed everybody in the game kind of leaned forward and were more intent on the experience that was going on. And so then it just became a thing where I said, okay, I'm going to budget every week and look for Kickstarters and things like that, and just buy minis and buy certain types of terrain. And it went a little out of control, but I have a lot of fun. And basically, I just look for various biomes.
This is what we work for in our lives. We work to have the joy of being able to have experiences and fun and things that we enjoy. Right. Cameraman, I want you to go back one more, because I want to finish this with Todd today. Go back one more. Go back. That one right there. So, Todd, you and I practice the same thing when we're doing terrain. And I want to talk about this a little bit, and then I want you to talk about it. So people say a lot of times, well, terrain doesn't really work when they're sort of in a forested area, right? Because it's, I kind of have to, now I do 2 things, right? I don't always build the entire thing ahead of time. And I literally have a map and things like that I've sketched out in my mind. And I allow the players to sometimes actually build whatever's going on. But you also do a practice that I also do with this, which is that the terrain is set up, but the encounters are ill-defined, and you sort of place the encounters as they travel about. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because that really helps people to understand how you can use terrain much more flexible, in a more flexible manner.
Sure. So for example, and for me, I call it non-contiguous encounters. And what that means is the entire map, even though it's physically connected together, you don't have to play that it's that way. If you take the lower left corner of this screen where you see just the ocean like that, I could push those waves aside, and we could say, okay, you're in that small sailboat and you're not anywhere near the rest of anything else. And I could have encounters there. And so, and just go through the whole thing, and you don't see any of the other things. All you see is the ocean around them, because all you need is that amount of space for that particular encounter. The entire encounter doesn't have to be to the horizon of the table, so to speak.
And also, Todd, you don't have to always reveal everything, right? Because you use things to cover over rooms and such like that. How do you do that?
So I just use cheap black poster board that I get from Walmart for $1, and I just cut it up to the certain size. I've been using the same set of pieces over. You just throw it over or a black towel works great too for some areas. And throw it over, and so the players don't know what's there until you get there. And then another way that I do it is, like for secret doors, I'll put it on top of a Dwarven Forge terrain tray. It's a little like 12 by 12 inch square thing. I'll put it on that, and I won't have that on the table. If they find the secret door, then from the back room, I'll bring it over and I'll set it down in next to it, and then, oh, you found this area, so they wouldn't know that that's absolutely there. And I'll also do the reverse. I'll have a piece of terrain that's there and that's covered up that's not part of it at all. And so they don't know, they might try to get to something, and eventually
no metagaming,
correct.
right?
Correct. That eventually they learn, okay, not to trust their eyes, essentially,
Yes.
because something that is there may not really be there, something that isn't there may actually be there, and eventually they just focus on, that's the Underdark, by the way. That was one of my takes on the Underdark. I used a black
we call
LED
that the
light.
Underdelve in the world of
The
Zyathé.
Underdelve.
Yes.
The Underdelve. And I just use a 30-watt black LED lamp from Amazon, and then I get you can see like glow in the dark plants. I just get those off of Amazon for aquarium glow in the dark plants, and that same thing with that one there, and it gives a nice bioluminescent effect.
I love that.
For those kinds of
Magnificent.
experiences.
So I have a couple questions from the chat.
All right, couple questions from the chat, Todd.
A
Here
lot
we go.
of talk in the chat about storage space.
Storage, yes, plastic
So,
bins, lots of plastic
not,
bins.
not the plastic bins. The storage space. Like, do you have like a room dedicated to just the Dwarven Forge, like the actual space that you store all of this in?
Yeah, I miss my family. No, so I just have a spare bedroom, and that's what I put everything in there. And again, this isn't for everybody, okay? And nor should anyone feel that their goal should be to do the same thing that I'm doing. A lot of people, and I strongly recommend starting this way, doing what's called ultimate dungeon terrain. I have a buddy that I played his games. He's got like a Lazy Susan wheel, and it's, I don't know, it's like basically a big pizza dish that he can rotate around, and he just builds his adventures on that, and he can quickly change things around. And he doesn't need anywhere near the storage that I need. It's a different style of play.
What I was just talking about, Todd, that's exactly right. Because if you have smaller numbers of, you can do this. And there are more affordable ways. I love Dwarven Forge. You know that. I've told you this, right? But there are also wonderful tiles out there that you can purchase from Dragonlock and others who, that are less expensive that you can print yourselves. But what Todd was just saying there is exactly what sometimes we do at our table. I have tons of terrain, but I do it more for expeditiousness, and also because sometimes the players like to do it, is to literally sort of build the dungeon and tear it down as they progress. And so they look at the map, they build it, right? And then we take that room down maybe later and then move it around. So if you don't have as much terrain, what Todd is saying is magnificent, because you really can stretch it, right? Is that kind of the idea?
Absolutely. So if I could give a super quick example, what I tell people is for just a couple of sets of, say, for example, they can't afford some really expensive stuff, get yourself some WizKids Warlock tiles, okay? Buy maybe 2 sets of that, and you can use that to literally build what I call an endless dungeon. What I mean by that is they're in the first room that you've built, and you can build the room after that. Let's say they go to that next room. Disassemble this room, slide it over, and build the next room in front of it, and it'll only take a few moments to do, and you can just keep adventuring forever that way using those kind of products and using just 1 or 2 sets.
Absolutely great tip. And honestly, I have found that at my table, some of my players love to build. They're Lego type people, right? And so to let them do it off the map actually adds to the experience for those players. And there are others who want to sit back and watch it get built, but don't want to have a hand in it, right? So it's, just the way it is. Todd, you are magnificent. I am so sorry that we got another question, Todd. I'm not kicking you to the curb yet. Okay. But we're going to bring you back. So go ahead.
This is from Rick. Rick was wondering, how difficult are the ships to design and craft?
Oh, the ships.
So the ship that I actually get, the ones that I use are from WizKids. So they're as difficult as me whipping out my credit card on Amazon. But there are ones in my. I am not a crafter, and I tell people that all the time. I do not actually build the things that I use. Just like, as I say to people, a lot of painters don't actually mix their own paint, right? They buy that. Or when I build my adventures, my focus is on adventure craft and design and telling the stories, and I'm more interested in getting the props to do that. However, that's more expensive than if you were to 3D print it or if you were to craft it yourself. If you have lots of time and are willing to put in the effort, I recommend going to crafting channels like Black Magic Craft and Wylock's Armory and stuff like that. And they are amazing channels that will teach you how to craft your own stuff for a very low cost. If you're somewhere in the middle, you have some money to spend, you don't have too much time, you could maybe paint it if it was 3D printed, then you buy yourself a 3D printer and you get on some Patreons and you download for whatever it is, $5 a month, $7 a month, $10 a month, whatever it is, you download and print out those 3D ships, things like that. And then you just, most of your time is going to be spent painting it. So you spend a little bit less money, you spend a little bit more money than crafting, but a little less time because you're not building it yourself, you just 3D print it. There's different ways to get into the hobbies than there was before. Buy it all at once and just put it on the table and use it like I do, 3D print it or craft it. And it's really about determining which resource you have the most of, time, effort, or money.
Yeah, magnificent. Magnificent. Cameraman, any more questions or right now?
We have like lots of comments. Also, someone was asking if we'd be interested in seeing, oh shoot, who were you guys talking about first? Ultimate Dungeon. We'd be interested in seeing, I don't know what you guys are talking about with Ultimate Dungeon. I would be totally interested in seeing that on our Facebook page.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Listen, I really want to understand, obviously, Todd does not do this really to advertise, right? He just loves this stuff and he puts it out there and he has a wonderful group.
So passionate.
Right?
Yeah.
If you're really advertising a product or trying to get people to do something, we do ask folks to just do that on Mondays because that is, that is our rule. So we don't just end up with a wall full with everybody trying to sell people things, right? And so that is our request. Our community is pretty good about that. We don't get people throwing up all kinds of things all the time. But yes, Ultimate Dungeon would be wonderful to see some posts about that. It's a wonderful thing and magnificent. So Todd, listen, thank you. I'm sorry that we had to be a little quicker today because of all the stuff that's going on in the world. And I'm sorry that you had to change the name of your group, which is now called
Creative Adventure Tables. And you can find that on
Adventure
Facebook.
Tables. Yes, on Facebook.
Yes.
Creative Adventure Tables. Might change again, but for right now, if you want to go give them a peek and do a follow over there and give Todd a little bit of love, that'd be magnificent. I don't think you will be disappointed.
And Todd also has a YouTube channel.
Yes.
And like Todd actually presents all of these ideas for people to use in their own games, and not just like the terrain, obviously, but the actual ideas behind it, the actual adventures.
If I may, super quick, my YouTube channel is different than everybody else. It's not a talking head channel. I literally am behind the camera, and all I'm doing is showing you the builds that I did, the products that I used in order to build it, or where you could get alternatives for it, and then usually the story or adventure line that goes with it. So even if you're not interested in 3D terrain, but you're just looking, you're a Theater of the Mind DM, and you just happen to be looking for story ideas, you're more than happy to take any of the ideas off of there and put them to use in your own terrain, modifying it in your own game, however you'd like to do so.
Beautiful.
And what's your YouTube channel's name?
It's just Todd Michael Putnam. It's it. It's just nothing super special. It's an afterthought because I had so many people asking me questions that for me, rather than type it out on Facebook, I was like, okay, here's my YouTube channel, and that way I can go through and explain, usually in about 10 to 15 minutes, most of them, each one of the builds. So I'm not going to hold your attention for hours or anything. Each build is usually about 10 to 15 minutes long, where I go through and I explain what I do and what the story is behind it.
Awesome.
Well, we are very appreciative of you showing up and hanging out with us this morning and showing us some of your magnificent builds. And if you want to see lots of them, you can go to Todd's Facebook page and Facebook group page and join that group and then see all the wonderful things that get posted there. Because it's not just Todd. There's lots of other people who post things as well.
Correct.
Todd,
and then
thank you.
Lastly,
yes, please.
Lastly, my Instagram, if you just want to see my work alone, you just go to my Instagram channel, which is Todd Michael Putnam, and that's all my work. You won't see pictures of me eating food or anything like that. It's literally just pure tabletop role-playing adventure game tables. And then definitely, although you want to check out Creative Adventure Tables, because everybody from a low budget and beginner to people high-end convention tier stuff are just sharing the work that they do. And you never know when you can be inspired or inspire somebody else by the work that you share. So please do check us out. We're a very friendly group.
Todd, may all your terrain be sticky, my friend. Thank you for hanging out with us this morning. We will see you probably again. And of course, you and I are chatting a lot anyway right now with all of this craziness.
Absolutely.
So anyway, we appreciate you and appreciate you bringing your wonderful arts to, because it is art, right? It is using other people's wonderful things, but it is wonderful art. And I know you always give credit, which is magnificent. You tell where you got the materials and give those folks, which is magnificent. So, All right.
Absolutely. And I don't consider myself a game master. I consider myself an adventure artist.
Arr,
I love it.
it.
Thank you so much, Todd. You were amazing.
Yes, indeed. Have a wonderful,
Thank you.
wonderful day. We'll talk to you later today or tomorrow, my friend.
Sounds great. Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure and an honor.
Wonderful to be here with you.
Talk
Thank
to you
you.
soon.
Bye-bye. All right. Was that not amazing,
Oh my
Cameraman?
gosh. I love Todd. I love Todd. I love Paul.
Paul. Yeah.
These guys, I mean, they are bringing it.
You know what's killing me right now?
What?
I have literally had hundreds of builds at my table over the last 40 years.
And you've never taken pictures of
Never
them?
taken pictures of them.
Well, back in the day when you were building, like, what did you have, like a Polaroid camera?
Yeah, it would have been a Polaroid. I would have to thank
Yeah,
the cameraman.
there was
Actually, in those days, we had the thing that you stood underneath with the flash thing that you held up like this, and it was black and white. Yes, it was black and white. Everybody had to stay still for like 10 minutes. Yeah, that was back in the day.
You don't
yes.
have like any because I mean this would go viral if you have VHS tape that we could transcribe and put on the internet of your builds. If you went with like a little camcorder.
My friends, we love you. Thank you. We're going to go to talk to Kim about this this next thing, which is OGL damage control. That is what we're going to talk about, and there's going to be a little prognostication that is part of that. So so I hope you will join us for that. And we will talk about some of the things that are going on that I think lots of people have interest in. All right. In the meantime, may all your adventures be sticky. Ha ha!